See, I told you. I told Oscar. This is all. It's always Oscar stuff. See, bro, told you.
I'm back.
Told you. So, welcome to episode 10 of Drinks and Dogs. This one, it's big one for us because now we're in the double digits, and so I had to load it up. So I have three of the people that I look at or really look at. I'm like, damn, like these guys, your dedication and stuff that you guys are doing. And the sport that you guys participate in is awesome. So I have the Cuttersons, Amy and Tim. I have Oscar Mora, and I'm only repeating it this way because this is what I see. These guys are all amazing sport trainers, pet trainers, and just good people in general. So yeah, guys, this is episode 10 of Drinks and Dogs. Thanks for being on.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for inviting us.
And then we got to do a cheers. Oscar, you not cheers because you're driving, sir. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Don't trip.
Awesome, man. So we're all in California. How has dog training during COVID been for you guys?
It's actually been the first few weeks. I think of the end of March, beginning of April.
No, because before that, in February, we slowed down for like 2 seconds, and then since mid-March, we've just been slammed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, same
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
COVID puppies.
Yeah, we're pretty surprised by how many people are still buying puppies and buying dogs, but no, we're getting slammed probably more than ever right now.
Dang.
Yep.
So
Yep.
you guys both slowed down in February and March. I want to say like because we're more central to you guys because you guys are further north than I am, and then Oscar's all the way down south. But like we slowed down super heavy in March, and then it just kind of went because I think it's just our county, and then it just went ape shit with all like the all the puppies, the COVID puppies.
Yeah. When I met you at that wings thing was right when our slowdown was happening, and I had actually asked Rob. I was like, "Are you seeing a slowdown?" And he said no, and he mentioned that you guys hadn't seen it at all. And then probably like 2.5, 3 weeks after that, we just started like I couldn't keep up with the demand after that.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, lucky.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of people have that problem. What about you, Oscar? How's everything down there?
Yes. Yeah. No, same thing. I had like the first I had like 4 cancellations on boarding trains those first 2 weeks.
Damn.
And then after that, I got busy again. So it's all good.
Awesome. Are you guys seeing just being in like Cali and everything like that? Because I've talked to like a lot of people in rescue and just people in shelters and stuff like that, and they're saying they can't even keep dogs like in the shelters. Like dogs just get adopted left and right.
Yep.
And even then with just even like some of our breeders or vendors that we use, like they're consistently selling out.
Yep.
So I'm just.
I run this program with UC Davis, and every year we're supposed to get 15 dogs for the colony there. I work with the students to train them, and we have 4 because we can't find 15 dogs for the colony in shelters. Yep. We can't find them.
That's dope. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. We still got dogs out.
Yeah.
So you guys, what are you guys seeing mostly right now as far as dogs or issues?
A little bit of everything, honestly. We're getting a lot of puppies. We're marketing a lot towards puppies right now, though.
We're seeing a lot of like issues related to everyone staying at home and raising their puppies and never leaving their puppies alone. And I call it COVID puppy syndrome. These puppies are like, don't know how to deal with stress. They don't know how to be left alone. They haven't had a lot of people coming in and out of their house. And so like the very beginnings of separation anxiety and that sort of stuff.
You guys see the same stuff, Oscar?
Nah, I tend to. We get a lot of like dog reactivity and that stuff, but I usually don't take a lot of that. So I'm like them. I get a lot of puppies as well, young dogs.
We're seeing essentially the whole gamut of everything. A lot more personal protection, though.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
We got tons. I now have a completely torn left shoulder, so I'm like, great. This is
Yeah,
super fun.
I tore my left shoulder too, a few months ago.
Last year.
Actually, it was over a year ago the first time catching dogs, and then The second time I was doing jujitsu, but yeah, I've been rehabbing it, but I know all about that.
Dude, I originally tore this left shoulder 4 years ago. I gotta ask Erin. She's the one that remembers everything. See, when people are going to watch this, I'm gonna tell Roman because Roman's in the background here. See, I told you, Oscar and his freaking internet. No matter where he's at, it's always bad. So we'll save this for the highlights. But I tore my shoulder in. I did the reverse. I tore it in jiu-jitsu, and then I ripped it after working a dog named Dozer. And then again, I just keep tearing it just through rolling with dogs. Because now I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, oh, now we're just off here somewhere.
Getting old. That's the problem.
Man, 36 years old. I'm like, geez, like I'm
Oh,
supposed to be like, I'm supposed to be a little bit like, it should be later, right? Like,
No, I think mid 30s is where everything starts hurting a little more.
You
like 30s, it's downhill.
I'm the same age as you. 19. Are you 84?
84, yep.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Good year.
So now, right, the year of the damaged. So there's during like this whole entire thing when we're talking, I'd like to introduce like how we talked about how we actually even met. So I met you guys through that Hot Wings challenge, where I met, when I first like actually met you guys, and I had one of the funniest memories, I think, like when we were sitting at the table, and like, cause I like to observe, like when I'm talking, I was like, I forgot what happened, but like I think I took like the hot sauce thing, and then like Amy looked at me and was like, that one got you, right? I was like, oh, fuck. Like just chugging milk, and I'm vegan, so like I'm like, that's like no go. I look over at Tim. Tim's face is just like this. I'm like, he's over there. I'm like, oh man. I was like, so that Hot Wings challenge was brutal, especially when
that
Rob
was
had
painful.
the last one in. I was like, we were good, and then you went for that one.
The second to the last one that was supposed to be like the ultimate hot one, I was like, oh, that's nothing. I've got easy. Yep. And then that very last one, and it just kept hurting and hurting and hurting.
I'm always impressed when hot sauce can cause like hallucinations. And that's
not impressive to me.
Because I tried that hot one, and it didn't get me until like 2 minutes in, and then I just started to like feel lightheaded and dizzy. I started seeing things, and I was like, whoa, this is like a hallucinogenic.
It is. I'm telling you, it was everything was fine up until that. Oh, there he goes.
Oh, hey,
what up?
Join us.
Man, hey, T-Mobile is the shittiest phone company ever.
Who
I'm going
has
to Verizon.
T-Mobile?
I know. I'm going to Verizon.
Yeah, like, yeah.
There's gonna be a clip that's gonna be sent to you, Oscar. Once you
Oscar.
went off.
Oscar, are you gonna drive straight to Verizon right now and do the rest of the podcast in the store?
Right. Now he's a robot.
I'm stepping in the pool for a second because it's so hot.
It is. For those who are watching this later, or right now that aren't in California, it is. We're going through our heat wave season here. So I know, like Amy and Tim, they're up north, but I know it's over 100 degrees. Over here, it's supposed to like 106. We're mid, and then Oscar's all the way down south, where I'm sure it's hell hot. Like
same.
Oh, so let's go. Let's get into the dog training stuff. So I know you guys all participate in IGP.
Right? I just train for it. I don't participate in it.
Yes.
Well, yes. I mean, so she's like, I just trained for it. I'm pretty sure they're part of like the IGP world team, or they are the world team. I know Oscar is in that or around that too. So don't let them downplay it, folks. On this one, these guys are high level sport competitors. And are you on the decoy side too, Tim?
Yeah, no, I do helper work.
It's called a helper if it's in IGP.
Yeah, we don't call it decoys. Decoy. It's a helper. Like,
we help the dogs. We help the dogs.
I can conjuring and French, so I had to learn to call it a helper instead of a decoy.
Although, like, admittedly, helper is kind of like a very dumb name. Like, why? That's like this. Why would you call it a helper? I guess the reason why.
I started in Cutterson.
Did you?
I started in Cutterson 16 years ago.
Oh, it was a lot different back then.
Under Terry and under Terry Macias, and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So he taught me a bunch of stuff about that stuff. So now I'm so far into decoy, I don't even say the correct terminology. So give it a rundown, guys. So Amy and Tim, let's start with you guys. Let's start about the dog sport. What's going on with IGP and everything that you guys are doing, and because Tim, you said you are on the helper side too.
Yeah. So right now, personally, my competition dog Kai, she's about 6 years old. My last competition I did with her was last September, the FCI Worlds. So there's several different world championships for IGP. The FCI Worlds is the all breed world, so all breeds are included in it. There's also the German Shepherd Worlds, the Malinois Worlds. And I was a little bummed because the Malinois Worlds, which I qualified for this year, were canceled because of the COVID thing, and so that was supposed to happen in August in France, but that's going to get put on hold. So the next competition is in December, and that's the Mali Nationals. Still deciding if I want to do that or not.
We just we bred her, and unfortunately, like at day 30, we found out she had a pyometra and her uterus ruptured, and I had to like rush her to emergency. So
Yeah.
we're still like kind of reeling from that whole. That's where his next competition dog was gonna come from.
Oh, that was the one.
So,
oh shoot.
Yeah, so we bred her to Amy's dog Cutterson, who's just a super cool dog, super nice bite work, and super nice energy and drive and obedience. And yeah, so we were looking forward to that. But yeah, still looking for a new young dog to start raising up in the sport. And yeah,
I'm about to hand him over my dog.
yeah, she's.
I'm done. I don't really like to compete. I like to get them all the way up to the point of competing, and then here, you take it. That's what I've done with my last few. Let somebody else do the trialing.
I tried to, and then are you on are you a trial helper too, Tim?
I have done trial helper work.
Okay.
Trial helper work isn't as interesting for me. I enjoy the training aspect of it more. Like trial helper work is pretty much, especially for IGP, it's very patterned. So you don't really have to know how to read a dog to be a good trial helper necessarily. So for me, it's just I will do it if I'm asked to do it, but I don't like actively seek out trials. I've done them before. The highest level I've done is like regional championships, trial helper work. So yeah, I've done a handful of trials. I have worked by a few dogs, club level and regionals. But yeah, definitely the training aspect is more interesting for me.
And, Oscar, you do both, right? You're on the helper and on the handler side, right?
What was that?
I said with IGP, you're on the helper and the handler side, right?
You know what? I haven't done a trial as far as helper goes in a couple of years. I did a regional a couple of years ago, and that was about it. And then as far as competing, I just I have my 5-year-old dog, so hopefully I'll be at nationals with Tim this year. Hopefully we can do some damage over there. We'll see how it goes.
Nice. What do you so now that we're on the subject of IGP, what do you guys like most about the sport itself?
Go ahead, Oscar.
I mean, I like how precise the obedience has to be, the attitude of the dog. All that matters coming from sport like French ring or that type of stuff, where they don't really look at that. That's what I like the most about the sport. And as far as the protection side of it, I like that you work in different tribes.
I think we got you back. Yep.
You hear me now?
You're very pixelated.
Yeah, so just, that you could work the dogs. My bad. It's T-Mobile. Fuck T-Mobile. It's just just that you work them in different tribes, and you got to pay attention to detail. That's what I like about it. But as far as like decoy work and all that, I really like protection slide. I really enjoy Frenching when it comes to sports or whatever. That's just me.
Your preference on it. What were you guys
I
gonna say?
personally love. Did you say wait a second? I personally
No.
love that it's the only sport that takes into consideration the emotion of the dog, and that is a really. I came from sort of like French ring, Mondio ring. That's what I had learned in, and I didn't really care for IGP or IPO or whatever it was called at the time because I didn't really understand that side of things. And now that I understand that, it's really fascinating. I love working with working a dog in a certain emotional state, and that is, I think, the most challenging part about IGP. It's not just about training a behavior; it's about training it in the right state of mind of the
State
dog,
of
which is a
mind.
big deal.
Oh,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's a sort of a subjective sport in a lot of ways, which like there's pros and cons to that, because the judge is looking for certain things in obedience and protection and tracking. Like it's not enough if the dog just completes the exercise technically correctly. Like the judges are looking for the attitude of the dog, the relationship the dog has with the handler, the emotional state that the dog's working in, and the healing and every exercise. They're looking at that, and some judges are better at reading dogs than others. So like sometimes you'll go to trials and you'll look at what looks like a perfect routine, and the judge won't score it well, and a lot of times it's because the judge is interpreting it in a certain way. There's definitely certain judges I respect, more than others, with that, because some judges will, like, for example, at Worlds last year, I saw some really nice obedience routines that didn't get scored very well, and I just kind of was like, why? So, but overall, the thing that I like about IGP is the emphasis on emotion in all phases, especially obedience. Like the dog, when it's out healing with the handler, they want to see the dog powerful, happy. It's not enough if the dog's just looking at them and walking next to them. So
But I agree with Oscar. French ring protection is like a thing of beauty to watch. A skilled decoy work in French ring is just like
yeah, I definitely think that French ring protection is a lot more challenging than in a lot of ways, for sure. And like there's things about Cutterson that are more challenging than French ring, and then there's things about French ring that are more challenging than it really, I think that at the club level, I think Cutterson is much easier, but at like the world level, I think it's pretty compatible.
it's probably harder, more difficult at the world level because there's just so many people, and when you've got that many people at that high level, like you're talking, half a point that's going to make the difference between world champion and fifth place or whatever. So
that's another thing that really brought me to IGP, that you're not just competing against 10 dogs. You're
he's trying to talk shit, and he can't talk shit because
you're competing against 30 dogs.
All right, Robot Oscar, what were you saying, sir?
No, I'm saying that you compete against 30 dogs in one regional instead of like in French ring on a national, you could be competing against 10 dogs or something. So it's just it's completely different.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Like that. The cool thing about ring sports, and I talked to this about another friend of mine. You guys know who Jake Scott is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I was talking to him because the only sport like I've ever done anything like that has been like Cutterson. That's what was being as a helper side, but I mainly was a training helper. So like I was talking to him and just breaking down just all the other stuff besides like the PSA we're doing now, and he was telling me, he's like, dude, like the cool thing about the ring sports is that you can watch it as a spectator, knowing the scorecard, and you can pretty much score it on point. Whereas like a lot of the other sports, like you can't do that with. So,
yeah,
but
absolutely.
I don't. That's one of the things that I thought that was really cool. was like, okay, it's like you're actually watching like a sport per se, like basketball, football, things of that nature. Where points are sport here and there.
Are you one of the people that doesn't think like gymnastics and cheerleading is a sport?
No, I believe that is. Have you watched that show on Netflix, Cheer or something like that? Those
I have
motherfuckers
not.
are putting in work.
They're great. Those are some like those girls and guys are fucking badass. But the
Oh, they're
gymnasts,
monsters.
yeah, the amount of strength that goes into that is mind blowing.
The sport that I've enjoyed watching a lot lately is what is it called? Ice dancing, like ice skating.
Oh yeah.
Like those people are crazy. Like the couples
Oh, I
skating.
can't lie. That's definitely something like I'm like, damn, motherfucker, you're spinning it around with like that. They're spinning each other around like that with the skates on, and like you're on ice and there's knives on your feet. Like that stuff looks a little crazy to me.
And if you fall, you're gonna get your like fingers sliced off by the skates. Yep.
I was like smashed in the face by ice. Like I was like, Jesus Christ.
Nope.
Random sport thing. But no, I respect like all the sports. It's just it was cool to hear his insight into that because when I was doing helper work at the Cutterson club I was at, I was just the new apprentice, so I had to do all the track lane at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I was not necessarily very happy about that, and it's left a bad taste in my mouth for years later. But I always thought it was cool just the difference in the sport. In sports in general, and that's a lot of what formed the style in which like we train decoying. We train a lot of center mass stuff and a lot of just grip and hold, but nothing so much sleeve. We base it off the sleeve and then we go into the suits. But I thought it was always really cool, just the differences in
Are we
sports.
frozen?
Is it who's frozen now? Is Oscar frozen in, or is he just being
You
quiet?
were for a second.
No, hell no. I can hear everything.
He's got that cholo lean, so he's got to stay in the corner there.
I'm gonna have to bring my dog out to you, Mike. That dog bites like a motherfucker on a suit. Oh,
Nice.
He's fun. It's kind of sad that I'm doing IGP with him because he's definitely more a suit dog. He doesn't have any of the technique down. I haven't taught it since I did his foundation up until a year old on suit work, but he bites. Like I can't wear the suit anymore because it hurts too bad. He can't wear the suit.
You decoy me too?
Yeah, I do puppy foundation stuff, and like development up to about a year old.
Good.
I'll say, we're about to bring you down here because I need a female decoy out here.
I stopped doing it right about the time where you would probably need me to do it because I don't like being bit. Like I've been bit a lot for real in my career as a dog trainer, and it is no longer fun or cool for me to get bit anymore.
So that's a good segue to like one of the questions that we get all the time. It's the the protection training and dealing with pet dogs and like the vast differences in between. And even when you deal with like not even saying like pet dogs, but even like reactivity cases or dogs with actual aggression and all those things happen. You guys all three of you guys deal with that on a daily basis. Like how do you feel like the working dog side helps you guys on the pet side, or vice versa? What are your guys' thoughts and opinions on that?
I mean, it makes sense that it would help. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you know how to create aggression and create reactivity and use reactivity, then yeah.
I personally don't think anybody has any business doing behavior work with aggression if you haven't at least trained in one. You don't have to have competed in the bite sports, but spent a couple of years in the bite sports understanding aggression from that side of things. I just don't understand how you can work with it if you don't really have that side of the understanding of things. So I absolutely think it helps.
Yeah, no, I agree with Tim. If you can create aggression, and create, a dog wanting to bite, then you should be able to stop them as well.
Yeah, I think the fun part, because when I started in rescue before I went into the Cutterson club, was like I learned more about channeling drives, and I thought that was like really cool, like seeing how many reactive cases we got. And what a dog will do, won't do, especially when you start channeling drives, going defense prey, and all that other stuff, and really getting into a dog's like grill per se. Like you start to see kind of the true colors of a dog, and you start to notice like different things. But I mean, like that was, I feel like my my pet side before I went to bite or any bite sports, definitely helped me get into motivated behaviors, but also learning how to work with real aggression and reactivity cases when I was actually in bite work, helped me actually help solve a lot of behaviors. Just because you start to see the drive channel and you start to see what really get in the dog's head and see what was going on from there.
Yep, absolutely. One of the things I always have our German Shepherd clients do is I have them come out and watch the beginning, like a young dog being worked on a harness. And I see what they're doing out there? It's exactly what you're doing, except for instead of it being a rag, it's another dog that you're letting your dog fixate on and build off of. So it's one of the first things, and it clicks for people when you show it to them like that. I'm like, you're doing what we're doing. You're just doing it unintentionally and with the creating obsession for other dogs rather than, a toy or something.
Yeah. You actually won't be trying to out the dog with a thumb up his ass. Like that trainer that said,
where did you learn that, Oscar? Where did you learn that from?
Was it
YouTube?
I thought that was your boy.
Nah, that's definitely not my boy, but you know what I'm talking about.
Wouldn't be an episode of Drinks and Dogs if there wasn't some random inside dog bullshit. All right, so Oscar, you do French, so you do ring. I know Amy said you compete in a ring. Do you do ring at all, Tim?
I used to
a little bit, but I've never.
I didn't compete in ring. I just played in it.
Okay.
I've been around ring trainers and I've watched it. I've done a little bit of suit work and but not much, honestly. No. Yeah, and that's something I'd love to learn more about. I just don't have the time lately to really get into it. And I'm the kind of, my personality is if I do something, I want to be really good at it. And it's like French ring. There's so many intricacies to it, and it just seems like it's taken me 10 years to get to the point where I am now. So
yeah. Oh, that's it. 10 years.
What about you, Oscar? With ring sports, so you'd only compete in FR French ring or Mondio too?
No, I did a lot of decoy work in French ring, and then in competition, and then I did a couple of Mondio ring nationals. I did 2 Mondio ring nationals as far as decoy work goes. So that's my side of it. Basically, I competed with I didn't even compete. I just trialed the Connie Corso. I got his Vervet, French ring Vervet, and his Mondio ring 1, and then that was about it. And then I got into IGP. Cutterson.
Nice. What for those you guys, for example, what do you guys like about the ring sports?
Man, I like go ahead. I like the technique side of it as far as the bite work stuff goes. The obedience side, I'm not I'm not too crazy about, but the bite work side, you got to teach your dog how to, take what's not there. Basically, teach them techniques. I really relate it to MMA and all that, where the dog's got to figure out how to fight the decoy, and you got to teach them that.
Nice.
The object guard exercise to me is just I love that exercise. I love when it's done right and the dog is actually thinking it's understanding the concept of I'm guarding this thing from somebody, and I think that's just incredible just from a behavioral standpoint.
I like on the object guard how they understand the measurements going out from the object to come back to it. That was always really fascinating when I first started learning about it. But man, I was like, that shit's crazy. I think the biggest, so Andy Kruger, who's a instructor on PCU Online, he does some French ring stuff on here, and a good friend of mine, and we talk a lot about some of the work that we do, and for us it's a game of outs. French ring, it's a game of outs. You have whatever 15 seconds, boom, and then you're done. And whereas I do the exact opposite thing, I want the dogs continuously crushed. I don't want them hanging on. I want them digging and hurting. And we talk about that consistently. So it's always just something that's really fun and interesting for me to learn about, with the different sports. I think that's, it's super cool, especially the amount of, the length of the sessions and ring sports or just sports in general are pretty cool. But yeah, it's always really fascinating. So before we get to the questions, I have a question that someone's been asking me this consistently, and I thought it was perfect. I was gonna wait it for you guys to be on because you guys are the pros at this. Do you go IGP before PSA or PSA before IGP?
What do you mean?
In sport wise, like, do you go IGP first and then go PSA, or do you go in PSA
Like if
into
you're going to
IGP? What is
compete in both
preferred?
of them?
You broke
Well-
up, Amy. I can hear you.
So like, you mean if you're going to compete in both, or which one is better? Is that what you're asking?
Oh no, like if you're gonna compete.
Oh,
I mean, I have a lot of respect for people who can compete in multiple sports, and I think that competing at a,
I would think that IGP first,
I mean,
and then PSA. I think you would have to do a foundation on both, and then IGP, and then go to PSA is what I would think.
I mean, I think the behaviors and the concepts are very similar as far as like, you know, like we train that, you know, when we're healing with a dog, there's going to be some type of agitation from the decoy, and he's got to focus on us. So like, I think all the components in a good training program should all be there. So that's just my opinion on it. I think Tim could easily step into the PSA field and, you know,
yeah, I don't know.
with not so much training in the lower levels.
Lost
Yeah,
you guys for a
so-
second.
I see a lot of people that switch over to IGP that have done a lot of maybe like Stu Sports, like French Ring or Mondio, or even PSA, and a lot of times the dogs have a hard time learning the guarding, parking.
To work in aggression, because they're working so much in
Right.
like prey in the suit sports, and you need them to for a lot of that suit sport, because you don't, like, especially if you're teaching a dog like fighting here, if they're working in aggression, like long term, that's going to be really stressful on the dog and unsafe for the decoy. So the dogs that start in suit work have a harder time working in aggression, I think.
Well, I think what I've observed, a lot of the Sioux sports is there's an emphasis on bite drive, on prey and bite drive, but there's, you know, at least from what I've seen, not working the dog a lot of times in reactivity or aggression, or a lot of the aggression work is fighting and aggression. So what I've noticed is a lot of dogs that try to switch over to IGP, when I try to get barking out of them, they're really locked up at first. They haven't learned to like express their emotions through barking. Like a lot of really good helpers in IGP actually just start the dog out just barking. There's no biting. Like it's basically you bring your puppy out or your young dog out. The helper does like the boogeyman exercise, so he hides at a distance or he comes out. The dog barks, helper runs away or reacts. And a lot of the early work for Cutterson, a lot of helpers do that, or just like teaching the dog how to get a reaction from the helper using barking. And I think with a lot of the suit sports, it's right off. It's just biting. So the dogs don't really know how to bark a lot of the time. So I think starting with IGP would make more sense, because it's for most dogs, I think, easier to teach them to be quiet than it is to unlock like a powerful dominant bark. But I think it depends on the dog too. So dogs that are really high in prey, like you definitely want to start barking early on with them, I think. Even if it's just barking in frustration. But something. But then it's hard. It's a hard question to answer though, because I've seen dogs that you do too much barking with, and then they have a hard time, capping. It's possible. I have a client, a club member of ours named Heather Ross, super good trainer, really talented, really nice Dutch Shepherd. I really like him. Well, both guys really like him. Super nice fighting on the suit, but she did IGP Foundation with him up to, I think, like 4 years old. Didn't do any suit work. And then she switched over to ring, and it was like really easy for the dog.
And she's competed at like national level and done a few nationals. She at AWDF last year, it was heartbreaking for the whole stadium because she was right. She almost had it. And he didn't like out on the last out. He got angry and didn't want to let go. And it was like, I think the whole stadium just like, oh, because it was such a beautiful routine. But anyway, yeah, she did well in training.
So me from experience, like I started Guapo in ring. It's up to a year old. Then I went to Cutterson. And then what ended up happening was, in Cutterson, and it was my training obviously too, I didn't really cap them too much. So everything was like, go, 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 go. And then when I tried to go to ring, it was like, I didn't have enough dog to finish a whole 45-minute routine because he just like gassed out. He couldn't breathe anymore. So that's another thing you got to think about when, like, I peeled, you want the attitude always look at, and in ring, you want a dog that's just kind of walking normal, unless you're going to ask him to heel. So, you got to be very, smart about how you approach your training. Like right now with my new dog, I'm definitely going to make sure that I work on those things. It's not always go, 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 like it was with Wabo.
What do you think about the transfer to PSA though?
I mean, I think it's all, it's all relative. I think like
obedience at the same time. Are they like, I can't remember. They do obedience separately, don't they?
I think it's all in one. It's fucked up. I have a PSA club, but it's all in one thing.
I don't know what happens.
We have Primal PSA and we do. My guys are both certified. I train them a bunch, but like for me, like I'm all like all my foundation is like obedience wise. Like we start like with like shits and stuff, but like when it comes to bite and like obedience, when it comes to like bite work, like it's all about them just ruining a decoy's life. So even like when I do like a schützen catch, like it's here and then I move out. So like the stick comes around so they swing around, right? So they drop behind the decoy's back. And eventually my goal is for them to drop the decoy. So it's the same thing as this. So it's like the same motion. It's just here to here for here to here. It's like I teach a lot of like the decoy work. But, when it comes to the obedience and the routines, the routine, I don't really necessarily pay attention to that much. I'm just like, all right.
I highly recommend, like, if you're starting with your dog, unless you've done it a bunch of times, like, I say focus on one thing, like, get that done. Because, when I started, I was like, oh, I'm going to be doing this, and then you got 10 years in the game, 11 years, and you haven't done shit, So, like, I think it's very smart to just focus on one thing, get that done.
Yep.
Get good at that, and then whatever you have more support. If you have a PSA club that really backs you up and you feel really good with, do that. If you have an IGP person that's really going to help you get to the next level, do that. I just find it kind of like, a lot of new people are like, no, I want to do this and this, but you're going to learn very fast that it's not that easy, especially if you want to compete at a higher level.
Yeah, and that's a big determining factor is like what level you want to compete at. Like if you just want to pass a club trial, like, you don't have to, it's not as big of a deal what sport you start in. But I think just good, clear training, like a good foundation is a good foundation. So
yep.
You can teach the dog all these different skills and just be clear with them. Like, for example, with Heather's dog, when she switched over to ring, what we were starting to do is, like, because there's no, except I think in the blind search in ring, there's a hold and bark, but there's really no barking in ring. So we were just teaching the dog, like, if the decoy is wearing a suit, don't bark, right? Just don't bark if you see a suit on. If the helper has a sleeve on, then you can think about barking and, like, expressing yourself with barking. But that's one thing we were teaching. So I think you can teach the dog different pictures and use different cues, and like I think you can.
I mean, cool thing that, like, you guys are all saying is, like, it all starts with that foundation training, right? Like, it's all about just having good obedience, have good, clear communication, good engagement. You can excel in certain things. Invoke different emotions and different expressions from your dog as you go, depending on what sport you're doing. And obviously there's different exercises and stuff you have to do per sport. But I mean, for the most part, it's just that good foundation and be able to transition through things differently. That on the opposite side, like, when it comes to like the decoy stuff, like for us, over at Primal, like, I do all hybrid stuff. So everything is essentially getting the dog ready for whatever they can, like whatever they're going to encounter. The only reason why I would only go IGP before PSA first is because I teach a fend off with a IGP sleeve. So the dog will eventually nail a helper or for doing that if I go the other way. So I look out for my fellow decoys and helpers and make sure they don't get blown apart by these dogs that we're training to bite really hard. So that would that would be the only thing. But like that's like for me, like I appreciate all the sports and essentially that. But I think what you said, Tim, exactly. It's all about like the foundation of what you do, and if you do good training, you should be able to switch wherever you need to go. I think it's just always independent on where you're training to, because we all have, we're all dog trainers, but we all train dogs differently. And like that's very important as well for people to understand. And like what Oscar, stick to one. You follow one thing through, or if like what Tim says, if you want to compete at the highest level, then you got to stay there. Flip flopping and being the jack of all trades doesn't necessarily make you a world champion, as you guys all know. So
definitely gives you. I mean, it's kind of nice because it gives you just as a trainer, like somebody that's interested in training rather somebody that's interested in competing. You do get to see a lot of different things. Like I've trained in all 4 sports at some point or another, and so I have an understanding of all of them, which I kind of appreciate. I'm not a competitor. I don't like competing. It's not my thing. I love training and I love like understanding training. So, but if you want to be a competitor, I think you just have to stick with one to start and like stick with it. Absolutely.
And I've noticed, like, after training in the sport, I've noticed there are certain people that are really good at handling in trials. There are certain people that are really good trainers, but maybe not necessarily great at handling in trials. And it doesn't mean like they're better or worse. It's just like there's different types of trainers out there, different specialties, and like preparing for a trial, knowing all the rules, knowing where all the points are, like that's an art in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then knowing where to invest your time in, like, okay, this exercise is only 5 points, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time working on this. This exercise is 40 points. Like, that's important. And that's something that when I first started out in dog training, that wasn't as interesting to me. Like, what was more interesting to me was like learning how to read a dog, learning how to teach behaviors. Like, that was really interesting. And then as I got more into competitions, that other stuff, I realized, okay, this is really important. I have to learn this stuff too. How to trial, how to prepare for a trial. There's a competitor in our sport. His name's Mike Deal. He's like a master, like he's just a super great trial handler. He's just always does consistently
Also
well
a
in trial,
really good police dog trainer.
and super good police dog trainer. And, like he's somebody you can learn a lot from with just learning.
Are there children in the back of your car?
Yep. I got my kids with me. They're
I
about to
love
have
it.
some drinks too. They're gonna have drinks too right now. We just got home.
I'm not gonna.
I love it.
Oscar, I'm gonna say that's very Hispanic of you right now.
Allison, say hi to everybody.
Hi.
Hi, sweetheart.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go put them in real quick.
Very Hispanic of you again.
I thought I could drink
What's up, guys?
Bye.
I love it.
That's awesome. Do you compete, Mike? Do you compete at all or no?
No. So the goal was to go into PSA and get back in, because before that I just did Cutterson. I was a helper there, but the goal was to go back into PSA. But with the business stuff, it's just too hard. Like it's impossible. And like for me, like if I'm gonna go out, like I want to show like, okay, cool, we're gonna be 100%. I don't like half-ass competing, so like if I'm gonna go in, like it's got to be there, and we just don't have I just don't have the time. Although I'd really, really love to, especially like in like because we kind of already have done the basis of like a lot of our dog training just through what we didn't know was PSA. It was essentially like we were just developing a dog to be neutral, light up on command, deal with environmental pressure, want to dig in and bite, and all that other stuff. So it was a goal, but I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon here.
Especially like these are businesses that are so like involved. It takes up so much of your day-to-day life.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like right now, I couldn't have trained my Kai, my current competition dog, as much as I was 6 years ago. Like, I just had way more time. I wasn't as busy. So, yeah.
That's the thing too. Like, that's why I wanted to, we'll transition into this one here. But I was like, even you guys being competitors, even like Oscar being a competitor, you know, with the business that you guys run, because we all run businesses. That's one thing I was gonna ask you guys. I was like, how the fuck do you guys find time to compete in that stuff? Because it's crazy to me that, like, when I see, because someone asked me that in a question Q&A, I was like, I have no clue how other dog trainers who have dog training businesses actually compete at the levels that they do. And someone asked me the question about, like, you know, for example, like you guys and everything. I also I glitched out. You guys and everything. I was like, I have no clue how these guys compete at that level or with running a business. I was like, I mean, they're monsters.
I had the luxury of having already laid all the foundation with Kai. So right now it's pretty much.
I'm a slave driver, so once he met me, now we don't have a lot of time left.
You should see where basically my wife, my girlfriend here, she's literally laying on the floor asleep on a pillow because of how hard we push so much. Aaron would kill me if I flipped it around, or I flipped it around, because I don't really want to get in trouble later. We talked about that earlier.
Don't do that. I don't know how Oscar has a family. Like, it's just like the business takes up so much time, and even like having employees, and we have some really fucking awesome employees that I can trust. We still there's just never enough time in the day. You know, there's lots of days that we're working from 7 in the morning until, I don't know, 10:30 at night when we're falling asleep.
But
I had a full-time job, and I was running Elevated. You know, I started in 2016, so a couple years in, I got Christian. He was able to help me out, and when I was trying to compete, I remember, because I would go to work I would have to wake up at 3:30 in the morning, go to work, you know, come back at 3 p.m., and then I would track at 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and then I get back and work. And luckily, I had somebody that could help me with my boarding trains, but I wasn't running a huge operation, so that's really what helped me out. But yeah, like, I don't see how you could really, like, all these old timers that are competing, you know, at a high level, is because they're already retired. You know, except Tim, he's a talented guy. He doesn't have to train so much. So
he's got a really awesome wife that takes care of stuff.
that's
good.
That. But also no.
Amy's like,
no, but
yes.
That's true.
But at this stage, like with my dog, it's pretty much like maintenance. So I'm not training her as much as I was, you know, 5 years ago, before she knew anything. So I couldn't have done that now, because I'm way more busy now than I was, you know, when I was 20, you know.
I've got a 3-year-old dog that I need to compete with. He's ready. I just haven't had the time this last 3 months to really push what I need to push right before trial. So it's like, I'm going to have to, we're taking September and October off. We're taking like a quarter of the dogs that we normally take, so that we can have some time I can have time to do that, finish some projects around the property, and then we'll see.
So Tim's trialing in October.
I'm doing something similar.
Hear that, Oscar?
What happened?
So you missed out on the first part, but Amy's like, I'm a slave driver and do this stuff, and then also she's dropped it. They're gonna take a couple months off. So apparently, Tim's trialing.
Yeah.
In
I
October.
might be.
Oh.
Either that or him my dog to trial my dog.
See, that's what I was getting to.
I'll be up there with them training.
You better come up here.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, Oscar, you got to come out here, and I'm on the way, so you can stop by Gilroy or just pick me up. Especially you got AC in the whole van, I can just sleep in the back.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So, you said Nationals was in December, Tim?
Yeah, in Maine, or I don't know. I guess we got to find that out. But
I don't know if it's in Maine, not California.
Yeah, Cali ain't doing shit.
Never. We're not allowed to do anything.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's either Maine or Washington. So hopefully that helps.
Cool. Let's do it.
So I mean, the cool thing I think about like just being RC trainers at your guys' level is that and this is one thing, or I think I talked to a lot of our clients about, is that people like your guys' selves aren't like, you're not normal people in the sense of where you can get a dog and train it for trialing and go and do that. Like you guys could probably and just from what I've seen from you guys and talking to you guys and everything like that, I mean, you could walk out and trial and place on a field pretty easily. Just from what I know from what your guys' work is. So the level of dedication that you guys are talking about is something different than what most people even comprehend. Because the dedication you guys have to do to trial dogs at the highest level is super high. It's the same thing I talk to people about, like, I don't know if you guys train in jiu-jitsu. I know Timmy said jiu-jitsu, but when you train every single day, like you train every day, that you can literally walk on a mat and walk in a tournament and you can place, but in order to win, it's a different level of commitment. But even at the level that you guys are at, that's like I would say that's like Hoist Gracie walking on a mat and being like trying to roll that ultimate level. It's the same thing.
And, Tim's definitely on a different level, bro. So I went to AWDF championship, and I was like, I got 8th place or something, and I was like, man, I'm doing pretty good. And then I see Tim get on the field and Frank Phillips, and I'm like, oh fuck, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I ain't getting shit. So that's kind of how it went down.
For sure. It's a different ball game when you're at the world level, and Tim has been there multiple times.
I mean,
it's not easy.
Yeah, it's just something. Yeah, it's just something I got obsessed about.
He's obsessed. I actually think that he's on the spectrum. Can I say that?
Well, you just said it.
You guys watching that show? You guys watching that show on Netflix?
Oh, dude, fuck that show, dude. That gives me anxiety, dog.
What show?
That spectrum, that level on the spectrum thing, that shit gives me anxiety. I can't watch. I'm not good with
Yes, that was the
I'm not good with
Hey, that shit was funny.
Bro, I can't Ben Stiller gives me anxiety. I can't deal with uncomfortable situations.
I am the same way. I can't watch uncomfortable movies or
I'm
things.
just fucking oh God, give me away. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty convinced Tim is on there.
No, watching that was relieving. I was like, oh sweet, there's other weirdos out there.
He's not as but for
Wait,
sure.
are you the guy that wants to make the princess as happy as possible? Like, this is my princess.
No.
We watched another documentary on Netflix. It was about a Rubik's Cube, speed Rubik's Cube.
Oh my God.
Competition.
Did you watch that?
I was gonna watch that shit. That was my shit tonight. Not even fucking with you. That was gonna be the thing I was gonna watch tonight. I was like, I need to watch this thing.
It is.
Oh my God. Right, we're gonna train this into dogs and Netflix, and we're gonna just watch shows together, everybody.
Netflix and chill.
Yeah. Netflix and dogs, not Netflix and chill. You're gonna be around a bunch of boring dog trainers that just talk about this stuff instead of dog stuff.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
Oh, it's funny. The fun stuff happens on the show. So. All right, so let's drop in a random topic here. Favorite bite suits?
Demon A, just
Demon A.
Nah, that Primal Canine special made by
Oh, bro.
Who was it, bro?
You don't even know what it's from, dog. No, Ray Allen. The suit that we made, the Ray Allen one. You black off, and Oscar's off again.
Oh, he's there.
He's there.
You hear?
I can hear you. All right. Can you guys hear him?
Like it's just ahead.
There he is. I can hear him. What's your favorite suit, Mike?
I'm so.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, cool.
So my suit's obviously like the Ray Allen suit because I helped develop it. But I really like what I've seen from Kura and the RO Kane, or now Roka. I like how they're taking more care of the decoy inside, with the with Kura, the leg stuff. I've seen they have little wedges in there. And then the Roka, the PSA suits, I like those. The Ray Allen suit, I've lived in that suit for years now, 3 years now, building those suits. So I mean, like those are like my favorite suits because I like it, but just the feel of it. But I mean, like those are the ones I've seen making more progression. But we are also redeveloping that suit too. So,
Nice.
Oscar, what was
I've had some. I've had a. It depends for what. So I've had Cura Sport or whatever. I've had a couple of those. I've had some Demonets. I've had a couple ALMs, and I've had a couple Philippe Clement suits or something like that, made in France. And for competition, for sure, my Philippe one was like it,
Those
but it was
hurt.
like paper thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like basically it's like paper thin, but you could like move really fast in them. So those were that was pretty cool. Then I had the Kura ones are all right, but you break them in too fast, man. It starts fucking hurting for sure. In my experience at least. And then Demonets, I mean they're good, but I feel like I like my old ones for sure more than I just got a new one. I just got it a couple weeks ago and I didn't really like the fit. Maybe it was the measurements I sent in that weren't very good, but you know.
Yeah, I don't.
You can't go wrong with the Demonet as well.
And no disrespect to Lee or anything like that from Demonet, but like I can't like the amount of work I do with the Demonets, they just burn out. Like they're gone.
Yeah.
And like suits, even suits ain't cheap, so that stuff like I can't do multiple 10-minute bites and then have giant holes in my armpits or my arms in general because of it. So that's the only thing about them. But other than that, I mean, all the suits are pretty much cool. But that was interesting. All right, next random question. Since you guys are IGP, favorite sleeves?
I would go with Gapé is pretty solid. There's another company, Rad Dog in Czech Republic. I really like their stuff. Yeah. But Rad Dog is kind of like the guy who owns Rad Dog used to work for Gapé, and it's sort of like he knows how they design it. Yeah, but that's my.
I thought my Gapé one was a little too heavy. Rad Dog, it's good. I like it, but I just got a new one from a company called Viper, and I really like that sleeve for sure.
Christian gave me one.
Nice.
Christian gave me one of the sleeves with
nice.
your.
You're so cool, Oscar, with your branded sleeves and your branded stuff. You're so cool.
What can I say? One day I'll be like Mike and have my own bite suit.
Oh
man.
No.
Did you like the sleeve, Tim, or no?
Yeah.
You can be honest.
I do. No, I hate it. It's shit.
It's like Tim's like it's garbage. I don't like this.
No,
thing.
I mean it's not my sleeve. It's not like I own the brand, but definitely I liked it. So it's light. It feels comfortable. I just don't know how durable it's gonna be. We'll see. You let me know, Tim, since you work a lot more dogs than I do.
I'm buying that shit. We're gonna buy a bunch of them for the guys and the amount of dogs for my Tuesday because I use the Gapé, the G3, and I have like a Fabro sleeve that I use. Like that's the ones I typically build dogs on. Yeah, so I mean I like the G3. That's my favorite sleeve by far. Even though the guys that are railing are probably gonna kill me for saying that one, but that's the half sleeve that I like. I mean the Fabro, I like it for like the intermediate dogs when you go past the puppy sleeve, and then I go into the Gapé, the G3, just because you can move it. Like that's why I like that like quarter. I like that half sleeve, so I can move it outside a little more than a full sleeve, just because we don't train in the shits in specific ways. So I need to move it outside a little bit more and have more elbow movement. So that's I would say the G3 is my favorite on that one.
Nice.
All right, guys.
That's something that's different from IGP and a lot of the suit sports is just an emphasis on targeting and teaching the dog to read the helper's movements. There's a little bit of that in IGP, but not a lot. And that's something that I think is really cool about like French ring, teaching the dog how to counter certain movements. And that's not something that we have to work on a lot because, there's no esquives. It's like a predictable pattern. But, like because of that, like Oscar mentioned before, like Guapo, you had a hard time maintaining him through like 45-minute routine. And that's because like in IGP protection, like we want the dog working at like the highest possible power level and like every single moment because it's a 5-minute routine, so it's not like a marathon. It's more like a sprint. So we can kind of afford to like work them in that high of a drive of state. Did I say that right? High drive.
That
You know what I mean?
yeah.
High
Tim
of a-
doesn't drink, and he's had a glass of my wine
I start-
mixture, so
if I start like
it's gonna start affecting him here.
if I like go off camera for a second and I just start.
Yeah,
Oh.
no, Tim does not do that. So
That's a. Oh, I understand, Tim. It's all right. I don't. You should see some of the other episodes we have on here that'll be up on YouTube. Pretty.
Is it like drunk history?
Yeah.
It gets there after about 45 minutes.
Oh, good. We're right at that.
Yeah, we're there. This is the turning point.
You should do it like drunk history, where you have everybody get drunk before it starts, and then you just ask.
Get the truth out of people.
I don't drink, and we'll get into some trouble for sure.
Oh God, Oscar, you don't drink?
I don't drink.
You don't drink at all?
I mean, like once a year, maybe if I go to Cancun, I'll probably get drunk. That's about it.
But how many does it take though?
2.
Yeah, probably not very much.
Cheap date.
Yeah.
Sure.
That and I'll smoke a bowl and that's it. I'm done.
There you go.
I don't smoke either.
All right, so we
You
got a
smoke
question
pot,
from.
Mike?
Do I what?
You smoke pot?
Yeah. So it's not a funny story how I got started smoking, but I started smoking because I had cancer. I had stage 4 stomach cancer. So I'm not supposed to be here right now, but we're here, and that's how I ended up smoking. But beforehand, this is the actual funny story of it, is that if I did smoke before, I would turn into a giant little baby, and I can't handle my marijuana whatsoever. So I turn into an infant, and immediately I'm just like this, and like, I don't know what's going on, and it just goes bad. So, like that's. Yeah, I do, especially with recovery stuff. I need to find this can to show you guys, especially with the decoy stuff. There's this sparkling CBD drink. I think it's called Center. I'll send it in our group chat after. But that thing, my shoulder has been all messed up, and that thing completely just like for I would say 5 to 6 hours, I didn't feel shit.
Wow.
Nice.
So I gotta get a video of that. I'll send you guys a picture of that stuff because that stuff is pretty. I was like, that's amazing. My buddy who has a restaurant gave me a can of the other day. I was like, because I told my shoulder was all messed up and nothing at all. All right, let's go into the questions from the question zone here. So I'm assuming this is based on trial work or being on the field. But the question is, how do I prevent my dog from going in the zone before he gets there?
Going
They're
into
talking about
the
leaking. Yeah, I'm assuming they're talking about like leaking and stuff like that before they get to, like,
Having
way
a
too.
pre-trial routine. I think that that's one of the things that I have learned the most just from observing, because I haven't competed in Cutterson, but I've been to national level, world level multiple times, and I get to watch all these different handlers, and every single really talented handler has a pre-trial routine that they do with their dog, and they do it every time, and a lot of it is making the dog wait before they go into it. And I think that's something that a lot of new handlers neglect to do. They don't think about it. It's not the same as when they go out to train. When they go out to train, they rush, they grab all their stuff, they get right on the field and they go, instead of like coming out, making the dog sit and wait and whatever. So I don't know if that's.
I mean, just having a clear work signal. Like for IGP, there's 3 different phases, and I want the dog in a different state of mind for each phase. Obedience, I want them engaged with me. I want them just blocking out every external thing and just focusing completely on me. For protection, I want them hunting for the bad guy. Like I want them in fight drive. And then for tracking, I want my dog obviously calm and focused on searching the ground. So I have essentially like different cues for each one, like the way that I bring my dog out to the field. And then if I feel like my dog is anticipating one, like for dogs that like protection, a lot of dogs, you bring them out for obedience and they want to do protection, so they think it's protection time. So it's important that in the foundation training, like if you bring your dog out and your dog's just looking for the decoy, like don't do bite work, do engagement, play with your dog, do something else. Like make sure your dog's waiting until you actually cue them. So my cue for protection is I say, where is he? So I bring my dog out, I grab her by the collar, I say, where is he? And then when I say that, like she goes crazy. But I don't want her thinking about that until I say that word. So if I see her preemptively thinking about that, then I got to do something different. And I think that like a lot of dogs, like my dog can be a little flat in obedience if I don't have a good reward for her. And that doesn't mean just like giving her food or giving her a toy. Like it's all in the way I play with her. So I play with her like in a similar way, like protection training. So like when I play with my dog, I use the whip sometimes. Like I fight with her. I she is aggressive towards me sometimes in play, but it's like controlled and channeled, and but that means that she enjoys playing with me as much as she enjoys fighting with the decoy or the helper. And getting that out of your dog is like takes like you have to know how to tap into that, how to play with your dog in that way. So I do a lot of like protection style play with my dogs. They're barking at me, like I back tie them, and so I think just making sure your dog's balanced in that way.
Awesome. I love how Amy's over there still in the show, grabbing all the cute ass puppies, and this motherfucker just like sitting over here, just like, look, there's a puppy right here. There's another puppy right here. That puppy wasn't cute enough for you. We're getting another puppy.
We've got people driving onto the property, and I've got these puppies just like loosed with me. So I want to make sure they don't get run over. But also
Tim's
puppies.
Like, talking about this complex stuff, and all of a sudden, like, Tim's like, puppy. Yeah. Puppy. All right. Oscar, what about you? I even forgot the question about it. Because puppies.
I think queuing for every phase is definitely something that you need to do. Something that I do with my dog is I just grab the first saber right before I go in, and I've been pairing that with competition for a long time. So as soon as I put that thing on, he knows that it's game on. And that's how I do it for my obedience and whatnot.
Oscar, do you ever have a problem? Do you ever have an issue with Guapo thinking it's protection when you bring him out for obedience at trials?
I haven't. No, I think it's very clear to him. Like when he sees like all the 6 blinds and everything, he knows. Yeah, I think that's like his cue. But I haven't had that issue of him thinking that it's protection. Like in ring sport, I had because I jumped straight to ring 3, and there I had an issue because all 6 blinds are up, and the day before in open field I set for my send away I set up his toy, and the day of the trial he thought the toy was out there the whole time, and I just lost him. But as far as and that's just for lack of experience that I'd never done it. So. But as far as IPO, he's super clear. That's one thing about him. Like he's not I didn't teach him everything like, super precise, but he's very consistent. So he's usually doing pretty good as far as like, club trials and regional trials. So yeah.
That's awesome. So the story that I like with the best queuing thing that I've ever seen, and that this is it's always the most disgusting thing that most people ask me about, is like, so hot dog spitting. You guys are all familiar with that, I'm assuming. So the one of the biggest light bulb training things for me when I'm talking about like being a handler is that one of my old mentors, he would spit hot dogs before week trial, before it's like the trial of that when doing his obedience. And in the beginning, the whole entire thing when it came to OB was they put a rock in the lip, and the dog would think it was a fucking hot dog. And I'm looking at him, I'm like, nope, don't want it that bad. Don't. I'm not not putting that dirty ass rock in my mouth ain't gonna happen. like that. And I remember like that's when I was like, all right, cool. So I need this dog to listen to me all the time. So I'm just gonna make this motherfucker eat for me, like no matter what. So I'm just always gonna continuously like that's how they eat their meals. So that's what's helped me. So I'm hoping that eventually, once this stuff all calms down, we can hop on and I can test one of my guys. I really want to work my dog Zilla, in PSA. He's not live by any means, but he's definitely a dog that it's pretty interesting. Look at Amy over here with the puppies. That's one dog I definitely want to trial out there. So you guys both brought up a really good thing. As a helper or decoy, do you work your own dog?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before these guys talk about it, I want people to, when they hear that statement, understand these are very high level guys in the industry. They understand how to read drives. They understand how to do all the things that need to be done and make it productive and non-conflictive. So just because...
And they spend a lot of time building relationship with their dog away from that, because you could screw a dog up if you not know what you're doing, for sure.
Yep. So Tim, you were saying something. What were you saying about, brother?
Yeah, no, I work my dog a lot. I'd say like probably 80-90%. And honestly, part of it is just I have a hard time like hooking up with somebody to train with. Just I'm out here in the boonies, so no. But everybody's kind of far away. So I do it. I do it partially out of necessity, but I also like doing it too because I've never had an issue with her. Like she has a lot of drive. She has a lot of fight drive. She loves to fight with the helper. But I've never had an issue with her, like, bringing her out and she's like blowing me off. Like she's always been super engaged with me. So I think I would recommend people learning like how to work their dog. I think it actually helps like build your relationship. Obviously, like you want to do it under somebody's guidance if you haven't done it before, but I think there's a lot of value there. So yeah, and Oscar and I are always talking and trying to hook up to train, but we're both so busy, so yeah, I would love
well, I'm just saying this. I'm in the middle, so I mean everyone can make a trip out to Gilroy.
I know.
I'm just selfishly saying this, but still.
For sure, we need to do like a group thing. Meet somewhere.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Yeah. And you saying you work your own dog too?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, it's a sport as well, and you're gonna put the pieces together, especially like me, I want like I have an active guard out and I have one that's silent. I want to make sure that I teach these components kind of on my own. And again, my dog is super clear-headed. He's super, he's a level-headed dog, so I don't really have too many issues. And I know that a lot of people hearing this are going to be like, yeah, but then they're not going to be it's not a real protection dog because how is he biting its owner or whatever. But the truth is that it's a sport, and away from the sport, I also work WAPO, and in that sense, I would never do it myself. If I'm doing like boogeyman work or something like that, I'm not going to be doing that. Somebody else is going to be doing it. But as far as for the sport, I want to see what my dog's going to be doing. How, if I want to get him to, sometimes you feel like you know what you want from your dog and you can't explain it to somebody. So you got to do the work yourself and try to make it happen. And again, when the dog is in the field compared to behind my fence, it's a complete different dog. So if you're not able to, for people out there listening that are already, I can already hear it, how are they going to work their own dog? If you can't comprehend how a dog can think different in the field and in a real life scenario, then I can't help you there.
Yeah. I think like one of the most important things for people to understand, especially with that last, thing that you were saying, is that there's different, avenues in bite sports. Bite work isn't bite work like completely all the way around. It's not personal protection. It's not just sport. It's not just all this other stuff, law enforcement. It's different things, in certain, I think Jake Scott even said it too, like in his one of his dogs is like a MR3 dog, or the last two is like, He's like, it's literally just games for him. Like, he's not a live dog. He won't bite anybody for real. He doesn't give a shit. Like, it's just literally just a big game of tug. And like for me, like I personally, I do my own foundation with my dogs up until I have to start putting pressure down. And then the reason why I don't work them after that is because I change, you know, we do personal protection or law enforcement work. So it's like, it's not a sport thing. So I don't need them to listen to me and do also their stuff. I need them to fight me at a certain level. And that's where I draw my line at. But I'm as anal as shit when it comes to my foundation. Cause like you said, Oscar, is like, I want specific things out of my bites. I want specific things. Like I want my dogs digging with the molars. I want to be able to fill those things and make sure they're digging in deeper and, you know, pushing in and doing all this other stuff. So, I mean, there's, you know, I'm a little more of a control freak in that sense. And my own trainers and apprentices can vouch for that because I barely even let them work my own puppies. So it's always typically just me and until they get to a specific level, I know they're ready, and then they get it. So and then they deal with the repercussions of the job.
For sure.
Right, let's see. We got one more here. I know you guys are busy, so I want to make sure I'm not keeping you guys on too long. Let's see. And we're gonna
just playing with puppies over here.
Yeah, Amy's over here just still on the show with the puppies. How come my dog goes after certain dogs but not some dogs? He walks by huskies fine, but wants to kill 2 fat labs the next time down. Next house down.
He's racist.
So
trigger stacking.
Damn.
Oscar just dropping the bomb.
And I'm not even
Kind of. It
and
can
I'm not
be
even
true.
drinking. Imagine if I was drinking.
Yeah, what Oscars, I mean, some dogs really are. They pick breeds. Like we have, we use dogs in our personal dogs for behavior work. And so, our little
also,
house.
I saw your goats. Where are the goats at?
My goats?
Yeah, where are those goats at? I saw
They're
the goats.
like, stay on this long enough, they'll probably be over here. You can't see it off screen. There's 2 cats and 4 dogs and 2 sheep randomly walking around this field. So trigger stacking can be the other thing, you know, so like you walk by one dog, it's fine. You walk by another dog, it's fine. But like it builds up, it's building stress until finally it's like, you know, when something bad happens in the morning,
The
like
Cuttersons pulled the Oscar.
Huh?
No, you guys blacked out.
Oh. Are we there?
Can you see us?
I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
All right. Keep talking.
Yeah. So trigger stacking, but I also think that some dogs develop like dislikes for like they're racist. I mean, our little house dog Misty hates German Shepherd puppies because we get a lot of German Shepherd puppies that have really inappropriate energy, and she has like over time learned that young German Shepherds have inappropriate energy, so she's a little bit tougher on any German Shepherd puppy that comes into our house.
Yeah. Just a conditioned response at that point. Like she sees this type of looking dog and she expects it to act a certain way. So
Same thing happens with pet people. You know, they're take their dog to the dog park and it gets attacked once or twice by a black lab looking dog or a yellow lab looking dog, and all of a sudden it hates lab looking dogs, and it's fine with other dogs because they're not, you know, to them it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Oscar.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything they said. You know, that dog probably has had a bad experience or, you know, got some bad energy from a fat lab, and now it hates fat labs. So
I think
or it's just fat.
Yeah. He's body shaming him.
Like, you should work out.
Yeah. He might not be reactive. He's just trying to coach them.
Yeah. Just trying to train them.
What are you saying, Tim?
No, nothing.
Okay. So, I mean, like everyone else said on this one, you know, it's associated. I mean, dogs are associative-based learners. So, I mean, the association is going to be timed in with, you know, whatever breed of dog that was or look of dog that is. That I just bounce out here again. So, I mean, it's always going to be based on the, you know, look of dog or whatever dog that is. So, associative-based learning, but also it's because you let them do it. So stop letting them do that shit, and they won't do that shit.
There you go.
Amen.
Right.
Can you see us?
I see you guys. I see everyone pretty clearly here. Here you go. There's one specifically for you, Tim. Can Tim recommend any good IGP clubs in the Bay Area, specifically South Bay, Peninsula, or East Bay?
Yeah, there's San Jose Schutzen Club. Dave Delasegas, he's down there.
Beast.
Yeah, he's a monster. That guy's, I think he's in his 60s, but he's been doing it forever. He's super athletic still, like amazing. Yeah, so he's down there. That's the only club I know of.
We have Sunday Club.
He said East Bay.
We're kind of East Bay.
We
have.
You guys aren't East Bay, man. You know?
No.
We're considered East Bay. On Craigslist, we're considered East Bay.
That's like I'm
According
considered South Bay or whatever, Santa Clara County or South Bay. Like, I'm way the fuck down here. I'm like, nah, I'm in Gilroy. It ain't South Bay. We're in the fucking country.
Are you guys close to Placer something? Placer County or
I think
Placerville?
You guys are close to that, right? Placerville?
Yeah,
that's like an hour from us.
That's further away, like north from us. So
North, right?
That wouldn't be near there.
I think they said. Let me see. I think they said South Bay. So I think you're right on that. South Bay or Peninsula or East Bay. So I'm not sure if. Yeah, South Bay.
I recommend Tim out there. That's what I would go train with. That's all I gotta say about that.
I mean, if you're naming those many counties and areas, I mean, you're in that same vicinity as the Cuttersons, so you got to go there. So, but yeah,
if it's less than 2 hours away, you better go.
Dude, it's California, bro. No one wants to drive anywhere over here.
No,
I do like seminars out in like on the East Coast or Midwest or even the South, and everyone's like, someone drove from like Texas to Memphis for one of my seminars in the Mid-South. I'm like, he's like, yeah, it wasn't a problem, and like people drove from other places. Like, you ain't getting that shit in California. Motherfuckers want to drive 30 minutes.
Nah. Hey, I went to Mexico. I did a little working weekend in Mexico, and dudes traveled from like other places, and I'm like,
dude,
like 24-hour drives and shit. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh hell no, I would have never came for that shit. That's way too far.
that's because you're already Oscar Mora, bro.
Hey, dog, what can I say, man? It's my last name.
I can't pronounce shit. I butcher everything. Awesome, guys. So we're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate all of you guys for being on here, taking the time out of your busy ass lives. I know we touched on it earlier. You know, being a dog trainer and a business owner are two different things, and they require a lot of different time and dedication. So I appreciate you guys for all the stuff that you guys are doing and for being on this show. I hope to get you guys back on whenever we do another one, and also train together. So
yeah,
let's do it.
Looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm in the middle, kind of like.
You're not in the middle, but you're closer to us.
It's awesome. You gotta drive, bro. You gotta drive.
Yeah, I'll be driving. I'll be driving to Oregon soon, so maybe I'll hit you guys up on the way over there.
You're going to Oregon?
I swear to God, if you come to Oregon and you pass by me and you don't stop by, we're not gonna be friends anymore, bro.
I'm gonna hit you up for sure.
I'm literally right off 101, like you. Like my facility.
Where are you going into Oregon, Oscar?
To Medford.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to Medford.
Cool. That's the area. That's cool.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. If I like it enough, I might get my ass down there. We'll see.
We're talking about moving to Oregon. That's a 5-year plan. 5-10-year plan, somewhere in there.
Let's all buy a condo there.
I gotta get there first. Make sure I have a big enough business so when you guys get there, you guys don't just take over all my shit.
So
I see you guys killing it over there with all them dogs. I'm like, damn, I'm glad I'm not close to them. Shit.
Spoiler alert: we are opening in Seattle, so we will have something out there. So you will be over there.
Damn, that's dope.
Yeah,
that's good, man.
Weather,
good for you.
Weather up is so much nicer. I'm tired of this 110-degree weather. I want to live near a river and trees and lakes and.
I'm just tired of Gavin Newsom. I just want to like can't be shutting our shit down all weird and stuff. Fuck that guy if you're on. I mean,
that is kind of weird.
I'm Like I can't be 10 minutes from one county where anyone can do everything, and then be in my county where no one can do anything. You get fined. So
you can't eat. You can.
that's the
You can
county
eat at
then.
outdoor
That's like-
restaurants.
So you can do outdoor restaurants here, but there's limited seating. But then if you go like 20, like Monterey County, you go down there with no mask, like you get fined. And then San Bernardino, like which is in between the two of us, it's completely open. And then Santa Clara, where we're at, because we're like on the far south of Santa Clara County, it's locked down.
Wow, so
That's
weird.
crazy, man.
This is such a weird thing.
Hey, well, that's why this show is supposed to be fun for everybody, which is what we're doing here. So, but again, guys, I appreciate you guys. We're gonna log off here. The team's gonna bring you back in here for a little recap stuff. But I appreciate you guys again. Cheers to everybody here for being on the show.
Cheers.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey, thank you guys. And then I'll talk to you guys soon here.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome.
Take care.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
And you're awesome too, Amy.
You're all right.